So right now I want to show you how we unit test the car service class. So what we did in here was to test both of the methods that you see, the get all car and the add new car. But in here, for the add new car, you'll see that we'll have a twitch, let's say. So again, for this car service test, I added inject mocks and mock. So again, I'll have to mock the car repository because I want to isolate it. I want to isolate the unit tests for the car service, so I'll have to mock this guy. Then I simply created a get all cars unit test, right? For the get all cars method. As you can see, I used the exact same approach, the given, when, then, right? I have a list of cars. When the repository is called, it will return that list. And then I call the actual method that I want to unit test and then do an assertion. So this guy is working pretty well. Okay, things are fine here. As well for the add new car success in here, we are actually, let me delete this because it will make much more sense. We are testing only the happy path. Why I'm saying that? So as you can see inside the add new car method, I'm having some validations. So if the brand of the car is not BMW, Audi, or Mercedes, it will throw an illegal argument exception. And if the number of the seats is bigger than 5, again, it will throw this kind of exception. Don't mind this illegal argument exception. It doesn't, if I think about it, it doesn't really make sense for this scenario, but yeah, just think that in here you can throw any specific exception that you want. So yeah, don't take this in consideration. But the idea is that in here we are having some validations, and if the validations fail, we'll throw some exceptions. So basically, logically speaking, if you think about it, in here we'll have three cases. We'll have the happy path, right? Things go well here, and then we'll manage to save the car. Then we are having another flow in which the first validation fails and we have this exception, and then we have a third case in which this validation is good, things are passing here, so we are good, but this validation will fail and we'll have another exception. So this is an issue when it comes to code coverage. So what is code coverage? Let me show you. We will run this unit test right now with coverage. So as you saw, we are having the first get all cars method tested, and we are also having the happy path tested for the add new car method. So we are having a car is a BMW, the first validation is a success, the number of seats is lower than 5, we mock the repository call, then we call the actual method that we want to unit test and do the assertion. If we go back here, you'll see we have some vertical lines. Some of them are red, some of them are green. Why that? The lines that are vertical and green mean that those lines have been unit tested. So inside the get all cars, we managed to unit test everything. We are fine with this guy. But for the add new car, we only managed to test only a part of the method. So right now, what we need to do is test these two cases as well. How will we do that? Let me show you the unit tests that I've written. I first created a unit test for the scenario in which the brand is a different one than the accepted. So it's Opel. The first if will fail, and it will throw a new, the first validation, sorry, will fail, and we'll have a legal argument exception thrown. So as you can see in here, I'm asserting that we are going to have an exception of type legal argument exception when this car service is called with this exact same message, as you can see in here. The brand of the car must be BMW, Audi, or Mercedes. The brand of the car must be BMW, Audi, or Mercedes. So if I'm running this guy with code coverage and add to active suits, you'll see that this line 23 it's now green. This means that I also managed to test this case. The only case that remains is if the first validation passes, but the second one will fail. As you can see in here, I didn't even bother mocking the car repository call because logically speaking, I know that my code won't ever get in here if any of these validations will fail. So it doesn't make sense to mock it. If you mock it, even if you do that, the unit test Mockito will tell you that there is an unnecessary stubbing, so it doesn't make any sense for you to do that. And it will ask you to eliminate it, as far as I can remember. Then for the second one, I created for the second case in which the second validation fails, right? I created another unit test, so the brand is a good one, it's Audi, but the number of the seats, it's bigger than 5, it's 8. So we are asserting that we'll get this type of exception when the add new car method will be called with this message, the car has more than 5 seats. We'll run it again, we'll add to the active suits, and magic. Now we managed to unit test all 3 cases from this add new car method. So basically only now we managed to completely unit test all the cases from this method. I'm also having in here an unexpected exception, so don't really bother that much about it. Usually I like to do this because I like to see how the framework is treating unexpected exceptions. What I did here is telling my unit test to throw an internal exception when my repository is called. So this is something unexpected. Yeah, but don't think too much about it. I just put it in there. Just don't think too much about it. So right now, as you can see, we are having all unit tests, right? We are having now all unit tests necessary for this car service class.